Let me welcome my first speaker this morning. This is Kinjal Patel. She's from the Gujarat University in India, and she's going to tell us about the hands-on solar eclipse outreach program. And the floor is yours.
Okay. Namaste everyone. Good afternoon from India. Am I audible? Okay. So let's start. I'll share my screen. Okay. So we'll start. Let me introduce myself. First of all, I'd like to thank all the committee members for giving me a chance. And this is my first ever international presentation. So I'll apologize for any mistakes if done. I am representing from the Khoj Museum, where I work as a science communicator and this floor curator. And I'll be presenting our solar eclipse outreach program at a glimpse what we did. But before we go to the solar eclipse outreach program, let me just introduce the museum at a glimpse, what actually Khoj is involved in and the things about Khoj Museum. Khoj Science, Art and Innovation is a dynamic children's museum, and they are very few in India. It is dynamic because our phases and our concepts keep on changing almost every 9 to 12 months. So if you visit the museum today, and if you come after visiting after some time, it will be completely new. You'll find new concepts, new exhibits, and new science and technology. The Khoj is a program run by Manthan Educational Program Society. It is an NGO based in Ahmedabad, and Manthan is also a part of GHO today. There are many activities done by Manthan, which are hands-on exhibitions, mobile exhibitions, and many more. It actually works on science communication and entrepreneurship development programs. Khoj is in association with Zoom Kinder Museum, Vienna. This museum is really fascinating and amazing. It is a kids museum, and it is really interesting for the kids to visit. Their concepts are also changing, and you find new things there also. Oops. Okay. Just a sec. There is some problem. Just a sec, I apologize.
That's fine, don't worry, just take your time.
Okay, there is some problem with the screen sharing. I'll share it from here only.
Fine, we can see that, that's no problem.
Is this screen visible?
It's visible, it's not in full frame mode, but we can see everything on there. If you're struggling to get it into full frame mode, that's fine.
Khoj Museum is funded by GSFS, Gujarat State Financial Services, and Gujarat CSR Authority. This is our building, which looks something like this. And this was an old astronomical observatory, around 50 to 60 years old building, which was transformed into this museum. So Khoj has a very old connection with astronomy also. What is so special about Khoj? Khoj is a dynamic museum, and unlike other museums, our exhibits keep on changing, as I mentioned. The exhibits and activities are completely hands-on, and students can actually touch and practice, and they can do themselves all the activities and exhibits which are present on the floors. The floors are really innovative and designed. We really focus on our designing of the flows, so it can be innovative and people can find it interesting whether you belong to any kind of background, whether you may be from design, art, science, or just curious to know different things. We come to the methodology of Khoj. The main concept of the Khoj is science. We mainly focus on scientific things, but we also try to bring technology, art, and innovation together with science, which makes the theory and concepts of scientific reasons in connection to our daily life. Let us go through a glimpse of our floors. This is the bulbule or bubbles, which is the soap bubbles are really fascinating for all the kids and even adults. We all of us find the bubbles very interesting. This floor is meant for the science behind the soap bubbles along with the fun of bubbles. There are different exhibits like bubble wall. We have a big human-sized bubble also. There are interesting dry ice bubble experiments also. We also have bubble photography and 3D shapes of bubbles also. Then we have moving images. Animation is always a very interesting thing for all of us, but hardly we know the history. So this floor, which is the moving images, is actually throughout a story from the very history to the moving images, from like moving pot to the virtual reality in today's scenario. So this floor has around 15 to 20 exhibits all in together, and different exhibits show different kinds of animation which was done at that particular time. Next is the plastic plate. The current concepts are all around the environment. So this is plastic, and this floor again has around 15 to 20 exhibits all in all, and we all explain the polymeric structure of plastic. Then we have our own recycling station where there are actual shredding and the injection molding machines, and kids can actually see how practically the recycling of plastic is done. We have our bioplastic station where kids can make their own bioplastic also. We have new technologies like 3D printer also, and the modern technologies where plastic is used. Okay, the next floor is reconnecting with soil, and soil is always a thing where everyone likes to dirty their hands, right? So this floor is again very interesting for the kids. We have our own soil lab where you can check the pH of the soil, the nutrients present in the soil. There is seed ball making station. There are different types of exhibits again, which explains the content, the different components of the soil, how soil is formed, the different layers of soil, and many more things. The next is Khagol, and my today's talk will be again concentrated around astronomy. So I shall be talking about this floor. The Khagol or astronomy floor is focused around working models which can explain different astronomical phenomena like solar eclipse, deflection of light, the moon phases, why only we can see stars twinkling only in the daytime, and all these basic astronomical phenomena in a very simple and interesting manner. What is our approach? So the approach of the Khoj Museum is basically we have school visits which is around 2.5 hours, and we have floor curators which explain our museum. Then we have lot many NGO partners also with which we do many workshops and events. We have individual children and adult visitors also. We have science festivals, nature walks, workshops. So now let us go through the astronomical communication which goes on at the Khoj Museum in detail. We have Saturday night sky observation sessions, which is every fortnight. So we have an expert here which explain the different astronomical phenomena, which goes on like they explain about whether it may be planets or constellations, moons associated with the planets. They give them complete detail, and then we have the observation area. We have our own telescope, so people then get observed, and the observation activities are always interesting for everyone. Okay, uh, I'll move to the solar eclipse event outreach program presented at the there is some problem, technical problem with my PC, so I apologize with everyone. The main aim of the event, which was for the outreach of the science behind the solar eclipse and creating the public interest in observing the solar eclipse, and also removing the myths related to the eclipses from the minds of people. The first, when the people, this was a very multi-dimensional area. So when the visitors came, they had to do the registration first, and then there was an awareness exhibition where people were explained the different phenomena associated with the uh, solar eclipse. Then we had workshop areas where the students made pinhole cameras, and students got a joy of making something and doing something by their own. Then we had projecting with the telescopes also. Observing with the telescopes, people could actually see the eclipsed sun through the telescope, and it was the first time for many of them. Then there was gathering of amateur astronomers and volunteers, which brought solar spectroscopic devices so that the interested visitors can learn about this solar spectrum and the details regarding the same. Students also shared their memories, made their own devices. We had a panel, observation panel, and they made the eclipsed sun, which they saw, and left their valuable experiences on our panel. It was beneficiary and mutual learning for both us and the community also. So it was basically one morning, 5 hours of solar eclipse, which was partial solar eclipse. We had a team of 5 and we were successful and helped by 30 volunteers. We had our own one telescope and the rest were the volunteers' telescope. Around 1,000 safe solar viewers were distributed among more than 1,500 direct beneficiaries, and more than 10 lakh indirect beneficiaries were there because there was live streaming. So this all in all became a science festival to celebrate. And at the end, I would like to thank my team, the Khoj team. Okay, so this was the end of my presentation, and I would like to thank my team, the Manthan team, associated volunteers, and all other people who made that event a very successful event. So I'm in for any kind of questions or queries. I'm sorry there was some technical errors and my presentation was a bit hassle, but
Kinjal, we got there in the end. Every slide was perfectly visible, and you have some fantastic resources there. I was amazed by the amount of material you have in your science center. I don't see any questions as yet, but I was going to ask you if I understood you right, you said that every 9 months you have a new set of exhibits.
yes.
That's incredible. So right now you're planning the next set of exhibits and presumably thinking about the next set after that again.
The museum is around 3 years old and I am a part of this institution around 1.5 years. We are going on with our second phase and we are planning for our third phase right now.
Fantastic. How many students or how many pupils would you see through, in a week, let's say, or in a month maybe?
That depends. Like we have a school visit almost daily, and regular visitors we get more of the regular visitors on the weekends, but regular days we have school visits. Most of them. We have around 80 to 90 school students with every school visit, which is around 2.5 hours of our museum tour.
I think about the last time I was in a science center and the noise of 90 children. It's not something I...
Manageable. Actually, because the museum is not static, students can touch all the exhibits, they can try the exhibits their own, they have hands-on activities to do, so they are quite good.
Fantastic, fantastic. I don't see any other questions. So, Kinjal, I think we're going to leave it there if that's okay. But thank you again for your presentation. And there are lots of people who've put comments in the chat window as well to say how much they enjoyed your talk. Actually, a question has just appeared.
And I would like to mention that in the next phase, we are planning one of the concepts, all the concepts around water, because this may be a main issue for the next years.
Yes, that's probably true. I will ask you, we just have 1 minute left, so I'll just ask you one question that came in from Azim, which in your work, did you talk about any of the popular myths that are associated with the solar eclipse?
Sorry? Okay, I'll read that. Have you included any question in the registration which asked them what were the popular myths associated with the solar eclipse? The myths, they actually keep on changing, right? A few of them believe that we should not move out during the solar eclipse. Then there are myths that you should not store cooked food, basically, in the house. But that is all because of the ultraviolet radiations and all. So it keeps on changing, right? And main aim was to creating awareness. And it was there is also a myth that we should not eat food during the eclipse, which is not true at all. If suppose the eclipse lasts for around 6 to 7 hours, you cannot just be there without eating.
I agree. We for the last solar eclipse, Jihu was in America, in Kentucky, and we heard some of the myths from the people of Kentucky, and yeah, slightly different ones to yours, but still
No, okay. I
strangeness.
already mentioned this, that the museum is financed by GSFS, Gujarat State Funding Society Service, and okay, how many people work there? We are a team of 3 floor visitors. There is one coordinator and the staff. Around 6 to 7 staff members are here, and it is funded by GFSS and GCRA.
Fantastic. Always get your sponsors in. Kinjal, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. We're going to pass on to the